Welcome to another episode of Money Mastery Unleashed, the podcast where we break down the strategies, insights, and the tools that you need to build, grow, and protect your wealth. I'm your host, Adam Olson, a CFP with Mutual of Omaha. And in today's episode, we're going to dive into a topic that affects everyone at some point in your life: retirement. Retirement should be the time that you enjoy the fruits of your labor. But without the right planning in place, it can be full of hidden risk. So in this episode, we're going to uncover the 5 biggest risks that you're going to save in retirement that could derail your financial security. And more importantly, I'm going to teach you how to protect yourself from these risks. From outliving your savings to skyrocketing healthcare costs, inflation, and even market volatility, I'm going to give you the tools in this episode to navigate these changes and secure a future for you today. So grab your coffee, take a seat, and let's unleash your retirement mastery. It's time to take charge of your financial future. Let's get started right now with number 1. This is the first biggest risk that you're going to face in retirement, which is longevity risk. So to explain this to you, this is the risk that you have of outlasting or outliving your savings. And quite honestly, when I'm working with clients on a daily basis, this is one of the biggest fears that a lot of people have. You know, they think, hey, I've worked my entire life, I've saved up all of this money, but what if it's not enough to last my entire retirement? And it should be something that you're concerned about. And so this matters because with advances in healthcare, people are honestly living a lot longer. And guess what? If you live a lot longer, you're going to need more income or more money to cover your living expenses, healthcare costs, and really anything else that pops up in your financial life. So even if your parents maybe only live to say 85 or 80, you know, it's more common today for people to live into their late 80s and even in their 90s if you reach certain ages in retirement. So how do we mitigate these risks? What can you do to downplay longevity risk inside of your retirement plan? I got a couple strategies for you here. The first thing is to create a withdrawal strategy that's flexible and dynamic and it's adjusted for inflation. So this is something like the 4% rule, and I've done videos on this in the past, but basically you need to work with your advisor to create a dynamic withdrawal strategy that accounts for inflation so that the withdrawals that you're going to get down the road are greater than they are today because of inflation. And you should also be considering lifetime annuity products. So you have Social Security, which is a guaranteed lifetime income stream. Maybe you're lucky and you have a pension that is another guaranteed lifetime income stream. And if you read my book, The Red Zone Retirement Plan, it's available on Amazon, or drop me an email, I'll give you a free copy. I talk about covering your needs that you have, your basic living needs, with guaranteed sources of income like annuities, pensions, and Social Security. So if you want a copy of the book, just drop me a message. I'd be happy to send it out to you. And lastly, you do need to plan for at least 25 to potentially 30 years of retirement income. And if you're a young retiree, say retired at age 55 or 60, you might need to even plan for a longer retirement. So the first risk that you need to be aware of and plan for is longevity risk. That's outliving your money. Well, you can create a withdrawal strategy that's flexible and dynamic and increases your income over time. Work with your advisor on that. They should be able to help you out. Consider lifetime income products like annuities and plan for at least 25 to 30 years of retirement income. The second thing that we need to talk about is healthcare cost. You see, healthcare cost, at least where I live and from what I've seen from clients, healthcare costs have really went up, and long-term care costs have really went up over the last 5 to 8 years. Just this summer, I took my oldest to the ER for an ER visit. We were in there for like an hour and a half. Well, my bill was $3,200 for that little ER visit that we had. And so healthcare costs have gone up. And if you enter a nursing home or assisted living or you need home health care, those costs have also went up. So you can see that if medical expenses go up and your cost of care goes up, well, guess what? You're probably going to need more income and more assets in the future to help pay for those things. So what can we do to mitigate this risk of rising healthcare costs? Well, the first thing, get your health insurance, a good health insurance plan in place if you're under 65. And if you're over 65, make sure you're choosing the appropriate Medicare plan each and every year specific to you and your situation. In addition to that, if you're still able to, please contribute to an HSA account, a health savings account. Health savings account are triple tax benefit, which means money goes in tax deducted, it grows tax free, and you can take it out tax free in retirement to help pay for some of these healthcare costs. So an HSA account is something you should be taking advantage of if you still have access to one. And lastly, please Explore long-term care insurance options to cover your home healthcare costs, assisted living, and nursing home costs. In my opinion, no financial plan is complete without a plan for you to pay for that increased cost of long-term care down the road. It's not fun to talk about, but a lot of us are going to face that at some point in our retirement. The sooner you plan to pay for that cost through an insurance product, the more affordable it's going to be. The third thing that we need to talk about, and this is a big one right here, is market risk. So what does this mean? Well, we all know that the stock market goes up and down over time. So believe it or not, the stock market isn't always going to give you a steady 6 to 8% rate of return each and every year. The markets has high and the markets has low. So what a lot of retirees traditionally have done, we don't do this, but what a lot of retirees have traditionally done is to have income inside of a portfolio, or to have a portfolio that they draw income from. And the portfolio goes up and down in value. Well, say if you're withdrawing, say 4% from that portfolio each and every month, and that portfolio is down by 10, 15, 20% because of a market downturn, if you keep taking out of that portfolio, that is a recipe for disaster. That's a recipe for running out of money before you pass away. So what can we do this? Well, the first thing that you should do to mitigate this risk, the market timing risk, taking out from your money when the stocks are down, is diversification. Okay, so I'm not only talking about buying different stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and exchange traded funds. I'm talking about diversifying the types of assets that you own. So if you read my book, The Red Zone Retirement Plan, I talk a lot about this strategy. Essentially what we do is we create multiple accounts for people that they're going to spend during their retirement. The first account that they're going to spend in retirement is conservative, and the last account that they're going to spend from in 20, 25, 30 years is more aggressive. And so what we have is really a strategy that the money you're spending today is in a guaranteed fixed type of account that's not going to lose value for you. So we're using CDs, annuities, money markets for that very first bucket. So if the market tanks, you'll be okay. Grab my book, The Red Zone Retirement Plan. It'll walk you through that in more detail. In addition to that, as you age, as you get closer to retirement, you should be shifting those assets. Don't wait until you're in retirement. Before you get to retirement, think 1 to 5 years before retirement, you should have a plan in place to shift some assets more conservatively that you can spend when you're ready to retire. In addition to that, the last thing, this is a big one, I stress to my clients a lot, is keep cash in the bank. So with my clients, I love to have at least 6 to 12, maybe even 18 months worth of living expenses sitting in a checking or savings account in the money market. That way, if we do have a drastic market downturn or there is some unforeseen circumstance that happens, you can access the cash in your bank, and we don't have to sell off any investment assets to keep your lifestyle the exact same. So keep cash on hand. Number 4, inflation risk. You guys should all understand what inflation risk is. Essentially, the cost of stuff goes up over time. So whether it's milk, bread, groceries, you name it, stuff inside of your life goes up in cost over time. So what you have to do is have an income plan in place, like I talked before, that allows you to get more, higher, larger paychecks as the years go on. Because if you're not accounting for inflation risk in your retirement, say you start out with $10,000 in income, and 20 years later your standard of living is, say, $18,000, you are going to have a massive shortfall that's really going to affect your withdrawal strategy, and again, potentially causing you to run out of money sooner than later. So what can you do to mitigate the risk of this inflation risk that you may have? Well, first off, invest in assets that outpace inflation with your retirement portfolios. So think of things like equities. So traditionally speaking, equities have outpaced inflation. Stocks have outpaced inflation. So that is something that you can utilize inside of your portfolio to beat inflation over the long term potentially. The next thing that you could do is include inflation inside of those projections that you're using for your retirement income. So with our financial planning that we do with clients through the Red Zone Retirement Planning process, we give our clients a paycheck increase each and every year. So even if you didn't plan for it, we did. We're planning on a 3% cost of living or inflation adjustment every single year for our clients. That way, as your cost of living, as your standard of living goes up over time, so does your paycheck. The last thing that you can do is on some of these fixed income streams that you can set up from annuities, you can add something called a cost of living adjustment. And so what that means is that the annuity is going to pay out higher and higher rates to you each and every year as long as you're still doing the withdrawals. So check that out. The last thing that I want to talk to you about is the lifestyle expenses and unexpected expenses. You see, this is something that a lot of people don't think about, is really the risk of underestimating your expenses or facing unplanned costs. You see, we've all had cars break and need repairs. We've all had stuff go wrong with our house that have need repairs. If you're having kids and grandkids, I'm sure you have kids and grandkids that have sometime needed some financial help that you may help them out with. So we need to plan for that inside of our budgeting that we're doing for our clients each and every year. You see, if you overspend in retirement each and every year by, say, even $3,000 to $5,000 because of family emergencies, personal emergencies, home repairs, medical bills, you name it, that can really add up to a lot of money over time. Again, potentially causing you to run out of money sooner than later. So what can you do? Well, really, this gets down to the nitty-gritty part, is we really create a detailed budget and cost of living projections for our clients when working together. And we build in a little bit of extra on top of it each and every month, just in case. In addition to that, keep cash on hand, maintain that large emergency fund, manage debt. So don't take on new debt when you're in retirement. Don't add any new loans, don't co-sign any new loans. Keep your payments and your debt done when you're in retirement. And lastly, this is a tough one for some people, but you really need to set expectations for your kids and your grandkids if you've helped them out financially in the past, to say, hey, we're in retirement now. Things might look a little different than we did when it was working. So just so you're aware, I might not be able to do X, Y, Z like I did in the past. So this wraps up today's episode of Money Mastery Unleashed. And I want to review with you real quick before we leave today everything that we've covered today, because I know it was a lot that I threw at you. These are the 5 big risks that you're going to face: longevity risk, healthcare risk, market risk, inflation risk, and lifestyle risk. And I gave you strategies today to mitigate every single one of these risks. But if you work with a certified financial planner like myself at Mutual of Omaha, we do all of this for you. It's part of our planning process. And through my personal planning process, the Red Zone Retirement Plan, I address each and every one of these, and I help you create a plan that's going to give you steady paycheck increases for your entire retirement and show you a strategy so that you don't outlive your money. So this concludes the 5 biggest risks that you're going to face in retirement and how you can plan ahead to protect your wealth and enjoy the lifestyle that you've worked so hard for. Remember, lifestyle retirement isn't about having just enough. It's about thriving and not having to worry about where your next paycheck's going to come from. By addressing these risks today and not waiting till 2025 or 2026, you're taking a powerful step towards financial security and peace of mind. So if you found value in today's episode, please subscribe to my channel, leave me a review, and share this with somebody you think could benefit from it. And always, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Reach out on social media to me or check out my website, adamolson.com, for more information and for resources. And if you're thinking about your own retirement plan, drop me a message. Check out my website. I would love to schedule a consultation with you and help you create your personalized Red Zone retirement plan. Until next time, I'm Adam Olson, reminding you to plan smart, live well, and keep unleashing your money mastery. Thanks for listening. This podcast is for educational purposes only and may include references to concepts that have legal and or tax implications. It's not to be construed as legal or tax advice. Such information or opinions is subject to change without notice and is not intended to use as an offer or solicitation with respect to the purchase or sale of any security, insurance products, or offer of individual investment advice. Any strategies discussed may not be suitable for everyone. Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc. does not provide legal or tax advice. Please consult with your appropriate professional regarding your personal situation prior to making any financial decisions. Securities and advisory services offered through Mutual of Omaha Investor Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Riser Insurance is not affiliated with Mutual of Omaha Investor Services. Investing involves risk, including the possible loss of principal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. Diversification does not guarantee a profit or protection lost against loss in a declining market. Purchase of life insurance is subject to meeting underwriting requirements. There is no guarantee of an individual will be insured. Annuities are long-term investments designed for retirement purposes. Withdrawals of taxable amounts are subject to income tax, and if taken prior to 59.5, a 10% federal penalty tax may apply. Guarantees are backed by the claims paying ability of the issuer and are subject to their terms and conditions.